Well, Mount Flatten, still chock full of Upsidaisium, the anti-gravity metal, is on the way to Washington with Rocky, our Rocky, at the helm. Meanwhile, all is not well on Mount Flatten, for hidden deep in a cave, two familiar figures and a sinister shadow are planning to blow up the whole mountain.
If Pennsylvania can't have the Upsidaisium, nobody can.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Big.
Of course I am.
Only one question.
Yes?
Why do we want it?
Didn't you read your instructions?
They were so secret, I had to burn them before I read them.
Oh, then let me enlighten you.
And the two villains listened in amazement as Mr. Big told them why Pottsylvania was in a pickle. It seems that some years ago, the Pottsylvanians had started manufacturing a small automobile, the Assassin 8.
Okay, gentlemen, this assembly line is completely automatic. I just turn it on with this key. Now watch cars come off other end.
True enough, the automation system worked perfectly. Soon, dealer showrooms were loaded with Assassin 8s. This was a great success because they were so inexpensive.
700 pesos.
Loaf bread cost 800 pesos.
What's the secret?
This new engine, buddy, is revolutionary.
What do you mean, revolutionary?
I mean it revolves.
But that's only squirrel in cage.
What do you expect for 700 pesos? Kangaroo?
Okay, I buy.
Yes, everybody in Pottsylvania bought an Assassin 8, but the company's board of directors weren't very happy about it.
Gentlemen, I got it bad news.
So tell.
Car number 6000 just rolled off assembly line.
So that's bad.
Pottsylvania only got 6 miles roads.
6,000 cars.
6 miles roads.
Oh, boy.
Yes, if all the cars in Pottsylvania were put end to end, it would be a typical Sunday afternoon. The Pottsylvanian government decided to build a network of highways, but too late. The construction crews got caught in the traffic and were never heard from again. The manufacturers had tried to turn off the assembly line only to find that they'd lost the key. They exported thousands of Assassin 8s to other countries, but they were made much faster than they could be carried away. Politicians campaigned on the issue.
And if elected, I promise to solve our number one national problem, the parking problem.
Soon every highway, street, and lane was parked solid with automobiles. In desperation, the government turned to Pottsylvania's scientists.
Is there no answer at all, Dr. Popova?
Yes.
What? What is it?
Anti-gravity metal called Upsidaisium.
How does Upsidaisium solve problem?
Look here, we make cars out of Upsidaisium.
Yes.
They lighter than air.
Yes.
So automatically solves parking problem.
Doctor, you are genius.
Of course.
You are national hero.
Net.
You are under arrest.
Yeah. Why?
You know too much.
Oh.
Gentlemen, from now on, Pottsylvania got only one goal. Find Upsidaisium.
And if somebody else got it first?
Then, kaboom!
Kaboom, Mr. Big.
Yes, Natasha. Kaboom!
Oh boy, I could hardly wait.
And bad enough?
Yes, boss man.
Don't forget to blow yourself up along with it.
Well, that's bad news for Boris, but even worse news for our heroes who are standing right above him. Be with us next time for The Big Blast or A Many-Splintered Thing.
Well, Pop, how do you like it?
I think it's great, son. What is it?
You mean you don't recognize it?
In a word, no. In 2 words, no, no.
Well, I'm surprised you don't recognize a Terwilliger fly-snapping claptrapper.
Oh, my, I'm surprised you can even say it. Just what is a Terwilliger, whatever it is you said?
Well, it's an invention for killing flies. You see that pie?
Uh-huh.
Well, all a fly has to do is land on it. See, that's when you pull this lever. That starts a chain reaction, and eventually the boxing glove clobbers the fly on the pie. Hey, there's one now. Watch closely, Pop. It needs a little work.
Junior, how many times have I told you anything that's worth doing is worth doing well? Which doesn't remind me of a fable, but I'll tell you one anyway. This is the story of the cat and 15 mice. Once there were 15 mice who lived in an old shoe. Not only did they live in the old shoe, but they ate there, worked there, and even voted there. The reason for this was that the immediate neighborhood was the winter playground of a particularly tough tomcat. Like all tomcats, or Harry and Dick cats for that matter, he was on an eternal prowl for mice. And sooner or later, he would get around to investigating the old shoe.
All right, you guys heard what Aesop just said. One of these days, that cat is gonna walk in here and...
Don't say it. You know I got a weak stomach.
All mice has got weak stomachs. It's part of our heritage. But we ain't got weak heads, except for Mo here. Now, I propose we move.
To Disneyland.
That's no good. Cousin Mickey's got that spot sewed up.
Where else can we go?
Hey, how about the old lighthouse?
The decision was unanimous, and that afternoon, the 15 mice looked their new house over.
Well, men, this is it. Home.
Say, this is the cat's pop.
The first thing they did, being fastidious mice, was to sweep the lighthouse from top to bottom. However, this took them so long that they were only halfway through when daylight waned.
You hear what Aesop just said? He said the daylight's waned.
So, let it wane. Find a lamp and turn it on.
The lamp Mo turned on was a bright one.
Must be one of those 60-watt bulbs.
Although the light benefited the mice, it did just the opposite for the cat, who was desperately attempting to catnap on shore.
You can't even get 40 winks around here without some joker leaving his flashlight burning. I'll give him what for I will. Must have rained last night.
Like most cats in my fables, this one also had an overabundance of cunning.
You're darn right I have. I know there are 15 mice out there in that lighthouse.
Alas, his plan to sneak up on them in the dark didn't work, for without warning, the lighthouse beacon suddenly fell on the road.
Huh? They'll spot me for sure. Oh, well, it don't matter.
Grabbing a battle axe, he stepped onto the beam and marched upward toward his target. Meanwhile, inside the target, the mice had decided to call it a day.
Turn the lamp off, Mo.
The following day, the 15 mice picked up where they left off, and so did the cat.
There's more than one way for a cat to skin a mouse.
Look, Manny, a shipwrecked sailor.
That ain't no shipwrecked sailor.
Florence Chadwick?
That is a shipwrecked cat. Give him a hand.
Atta way to go, cat baby! Atta way to do it!
Not that kind of a hand. Throw him a rope.
It was a rope, all right, with an anvil attached.
Is he all right?
Sure, he's all right. He just got a little concussion is all.
Hey, where am I?
You are at the lighthouse.
That was all the cat had to hear. Overjoyed at the prospect of a 15-course dinner, he took off in hot pursuit. But those mice were fast, and they knew the interior of the lighthouse like the back of their paws. For 1 solid hour, that cat chased in vain. That is, until he spotted Mo standing before a door labeled Delivery Room.
Aha! Gotcha!
Congratulations, Pussy.
For what?
You are the proud father of a 2-pound sassy kitten. Have a cigar.
What do you know about that? What a surprise!
A bigger one followed. Well, sir, that tomcat had it. He wasted little time in leaving that neighborhood. What's more, so did every cat that ever came to the lighthouse. And to make it worse, those mice came ashore and set up pieces of chrome all over. And at night, the beacon would reflect all over the place and drive the cats wild. So you see, Junior, anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. But as usual, I suppose you have a moral of your own?
I sure do. You think you can stomach it?
Well, try me.
Chrome wasn't built in a day.
Chrome would...
Well, thousands are cheering our heroes again today because they are approaching Washington, piloting a mountain full of Upsidaisium, the anti-gravity metal. But there are those to whom the occasion brings no joy. One of them is Captain Peter Peachfuzz, head of G2.
This mountain was a perfectly good secret, and now everybody knows it.
Another is that crumb of crumbs, Boris Badenoff, who has just received orders from Mr. Big to blow up the mountain and himself with it.
Come, Badenoff, light the fuse. I haven't got all day.
But, Bossman, how come I'm expendable?
You failed to get the Upsidaisium, Boris. Blowing yourself up is the only honorable thing to do.
You had better think fast, darling.
But Mr. Big, old beloved master, if I go, you go.
What? You have a point there, Boris.
However, if you insist...
No. Put it out. Perhaps I was hasty, Boris.
You were almost hasty pudding, Chiefy Wiffy.
Very well, Badenoff. You may carry on.
Mr. Big is gone again, darling.
It's nice to know that under his sinister exterior beats a heart of pure chicken.
Meanwhile, Rocky had skillfully piloted Mount Flatten to a sheltered cove in the Atlantic coast.
Who are all those people, Rocky?
Lots of them are Washington senators, Bullwinkle.
Where's their baseball suits?
No, these are real senators. They can't play baseball.
I know. They got no pitchers.
Well, of course, our boys got another chest full of decorations.
Yay!
And work started immediately on mining the mysterious metal Upsidaisium. It was a tough job, for every chunk of ore had to be weighted down so it wouldn't fall up and out of sight. Then the refined metal was taken into the government vault at Fort Knickknack, where it was kept under close guard.
What keeps it from falling up now, Rock?
Look, Bullwinkle, they got a big steel cover on top of the pile, and it's chained to the floor.
Halt! Who goes there, friend or foe?
Do we get a choice?
It's us, Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, you're always welcome, Rocky.
We just came to see this here.
Just don't touch anything.
Boy, they're tough.
I'd just like to see anybody try to steal any of this stuff.
He'd have to be a criminal genius.
A criminal genius? Well, there's only one man we know who could fit that description.
Right you are.
And who is that, Boris?
You, of course, Bossman.
Good. Now, listen carefully.
And Mr. Big outlined his plan to startle Boris.
Oh, not that, boss.
It's the only way, Boris. Now, go.
And so late that night, as Rocky and Bullwinkle slept, the stealthy figure crept into their room and made off with Rocky's helmet. A short time later, the guards at Fort Knickknack saw a familiar silhouette approaching them.
Halt. Who's there?
Hocus smoke, fellas. It's just me, your old pal, Rocky Squirrel.
Oh, sure. Pass, Rocky. Now, there's something you don't see every day, Chauncey.
What's that, Edgar?
A mustache on a little squirrel.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he fibs about his age.
Still, I wonder if he really is Rocky the Flying Squirrel.
And the guards started after the disguised Boris, but Boris heard him coming, and quickly seizing a small chunk of Upsidaisium, he tucked it into his coat. Then, lifted by the anti-gravity metal, he rose into the air right before the guard's eyes. And then, as the guard left, Boris quickly cut the alarm wires. Things were all set up for the biggest robbery in history.
Be sure to be with us next.
I'll tell them. Be with us next time for the Steel Hour or a Snitch in Time.
And now, here's Bullwinkle's Corner.
Hello, poultry people. Today's game is called The Barefoot Boy. Curtain. Blessings on thee, little man, barefoot boy with shoes of tan, with thy... Wait up now, you're supposed to be barefoot.
The stones hurt my toes.
Oh, come on now, Rock.
Well, okay.
Once more from the top. Blessings on thee, little man, barefoot boy with cheek of tan, with thy rolled-up pantaloon, and thy merry whistle too.
Yikes!
That's a merry whistle too?
No, that's a bear.
Well, you're just ruining the poem.
I can't help that. Here he comes. And he's wearing my shoes. Bye, Bullwinkle.
But how do I finish the poem?
Do it with him.
All right, I just will. So though you give my pal a scare, blessings on thee, boyfoot bear.
Spring had come to Canada, and with it a happiness and contentment had settled over the countryside. Everywhere people were laughing and singing. Everywhere except in the mounting camp. It started one day when Dudley Do-Right entered Inspector Fenwick's office.
Inspector Fenwick. He's gone, disappeared.
What is the matter, Dudley?
Inspector Fenwick has met with foul play. You know the inspector never goes any place without his hat.
My daddy? Oh, what shall we do?
We shall organize a search party.
And so the entire detachment set off to find their beloved inspector. Meanwhile, in the back room of Snidely Whiplash's miserable shack, cowed, beaten, dejected, was Snidely Whiplash himself.
Well, who did you expect, Inspector Fenwick?
You seem depressed today, Snidely.
True, all my life I've been outwitting the Mounties, and where has it gotten me? This miserable shack in the Canadian redwoods.
Oh, it's not so bad, Snidely.
Working my fingers to the bone, the bridges I've blown up, the mortgages I've foreclosed, the women I've tied to railroad tracks, and what does it amount to? A miserable shack in the Canadian redwoods, in the low-rent district.
Gee, Snidely, I never heard you talk this way before.
Homer, something's gone out of me. I can't get any real zing in my leers anymore. Look.
Pretty sad.
And my laugh, he, hasn't got the zonk it used to have.
No zing and no zonk, huh?
No zing or zonk. I'm going to step aside, Homer. Let a younger man take over my place. I'm going to turn myself over to the Mounties.
Gee, Snidely, it just breaks my heart to hear you talk this way.
Well, Homer, when you ain't got that zonk, life just ain't worth it.
And so the arch-villain trudged into the deserted Mountie post.
Take me, I'm yours. Snidely Whiplash himself. Put on the derbies and... It's strange. There's no one here over whom to turn myself over. How do I look, Homer? Let's see. Dudley Do-Right, come in here.
You sent for me, sir? Oh, good to have you back, sir. We've all been worried, searched the entire countryside.
But I'm not the inspector. Do you think we can get away with it, Homer?
Why not?
Nell, your daddy has returned.
Why, that's not my daddy.
I know, Nell, he doesn't look the same, but how could he after the ordeal he's been through?
Ordeal?
Dudley, I want you to lock up Nell in the stockade. That's an order.
Yes, sir, Inspector Fenwick. And may I say, sir, it's good to have you back. Come along, Nell.
Dudley Do-Right, you are a nut.
What Dudley didn't know was that Inspector Fenwick wasn't lost at all. He had just stepped out for a haircut.
It's good to know I can pop away for a bit. With Dudley Do-Right in charge, I have nothing to worry about. Camptown ladies, sing this song. Do-Right, Do-Right, dim-dim-dim-dim. Do-Right, can't I leave the camp for a minute without returning to utter chaos?
And whom are you?
What do you mean, whom am I? I'm Inspector Fenwick.
You, Inspector Fenwick? Impossible. I'm locking you up for impersonating an officer and being out of uniform.
Out of uniform?
Where's your hat, soldier?
No, I've got to get that hat back so it'll come to his senses.
And the inspector began to tunnel his way out of the stockade. Meanwhile,
Dudley, I've got a very important assignment for you. I want you to reroute the mail train from point A, where it goes around the gorge, to point B, which goes directly over the gorge.
But there are no tracks over the gorge, sir.
Dudley, don't you see? That'll speed up the mail delivery.
Oh, yes, sir.
We must stop Snidely and his fiendish plan.
There, how's that, Inspector?
Fine, Dudley, just fine. The train should be coming along now.
We're just in time, Nell. We can prevent the train from going over the gorge.
The only problem is that we are on the other side of the gorge.
You're right. All is lost. I've failed.
You haven't failed, Father. We can still prevent the train from going over the gorge.
How, Nell?
By doing what every red-blooded Canadian girl would do in a similar case as this. We'll build a trestle across the gorge.
Curses!
Oh, you mustn't do that to your hat, Inspector.
I'll take that hat, Dudley. Notice anything familiar about me, Do-Right?
Why, you are Inspector Fenwick. Then who is that other chap?
Oh, never mind, Dudley, never mind.
Hey, what's so funny, Snidely? You didn't get the plunder or the mail train?
But one thing I did get, Homer.
And that is?
My zonk!
Our story opens today in, of all places, the Up in Arms, a Washington hotel. That figure lying peacefully in a hotel bed is our hero, Rocky. You will notice that he's wearing a nightcap instead of his usual flying helmet, and for a very good reason. The helmet was stolen by Boris Badenov, who then proceeded to the Upsidaisium warehouse at Fort Knick-Knack, disguised as...
Hokey smoke, fellas. It's me, Rocky, Flying Squirrel.
Sure, go on in, Rocky.
Yes, disguised as Rocky, Boris penetrated directly to the room containing the nation's entire supply of Upsidaisium. Then he cut the alarm wires and opened the rear window.
Ahoy out there, you swabs.
Boris, what means the Navy talk?
Means coast is clear.
Once inside, the two spies were soon joined by the sinister shadow of that criminal mastermind, Mr. Big.
Well, there is Upsidaisium, Mr. Big. My plan is working perfect.
Your plan, Boris?
Sorry, bossman. I meant your plan.
That's better.
And look outside. Got fleet of trucks.
Then let's get started.
Okay, boss. Let's go.
You don't understand, Boris. When I say we, I mean you.
That figures. Come on, Natasha.
Well, the villain's plan was nearly foolproof, all right. They've made only one little mistake. They forgot that Upsidaisium falls up.
Oop.
Boris, let go of it.
Mr. Big, looks like your plan is wash out.
My plan, Boris?
I was forgetting. My plan.
Meanwhile, back in his hotel room, we find our boy Rocky wide awake.
Oh, dear.
What's the matter, Rock?
I can't sleep, Bullwinkle.
Well, small wonder your eyes are open.
No, it's all those lights outside. I need a pair of dark glasses.
Why don't you paint your goggles black and...
Hey, that's a great idea, Bullwinkle. Uh-oh, I can't.
No paint?
No goggles, they're gone. Somebody must have stolen to look like me, Bullwinkle.
But who wants to look like you? No offense, Rock.
I don't know, but I bet it has something to do with that Upsidaisium. Come on.
And so, clad in their night clothes, our heroes dashed off toward Fort Knick-Knack. At the fort itself, Boris had come up with a cunning plan.
What you going to do with those magnets, darling?
Watch, Natasha. Floor is metal, no?
Is metal, yes.
As I strap magnets to shoes, they hold me to floor. Upsidaisium can't pull me up.
Sure enough, Boris was now able to handle the fabulous metal and busily trotted back and forth loading the trucks which backed up outside the window. Of course, these magnets were very powerful, as the soldiers in the room below the storeroom found out.
You seen my helmet, Chauncey? Oh, thanks.
Now, where's my rifle, Edgar? I had it right... Oh, there it is.
But at that moment, Natasha and Boris entered the room, followed by the bemetaled General Broadbean.
But I tell you, it isn't me. It's somebody else up there, General.
Fantastic! This place is a military oop!
Is that anything like a civilian oop?
Something's going on up there, Bullwinkle. Let's go!
The old man's up in the air again, eh, Chauncey?
Yes, Edgar, and this time he really hit the ceiling.
Of course, as soon as Boris moved, the general made a rapid descent.
The guard! Call out the guard! Too late, you miserable military men. Boris Badenov strikes again.
Why, Boris, that's a poem.
Now Badenov will quickly flee.
So why we don't go?
Can't think of a rhyme for flee.
I've got one. Be with us next time when we see Verse and Worse or Crime Without Rhyme.